Hey, and welcome back. So, you keep hearing that everyone has worries, or someone, like a random redheaded psychologist on the interweb, tells you that intrusive thoughts, even scary taboo ones, are normal. But then, have you ever wondered, so if they're so normal, then why are they so intense or frequent for me? What makes me so special that the worries or thoughts are just so sticky? Well, let's start by talking about how worries fit into the daily inbox of your brain. Your brain is amazing. Even if you're not really on speaking terms right now, it's an amazing organ. One of your brain's primary jobs is to sort through an enormous amount of information every second. That includes your worries and intrusive thoughts, but also endless other random or intentional thoughts you experience, as well as every piece of sensory information around you. What you see, hear, taste, feel, smell, everything. Even if you're not aware of it, as well as any other feelings or urges to act. That's a pretty serious job. I get overwhelmed by like 10 new emails a day. Your brain can have up to 11 million pieces of new information per second. Obviously, you cannot consciously sort through that. And if your brain had to carefully read and sort through each one of those messages, you'd be completely paralyzed. Instead, your brain is one of the most efficient sorting machines in existence, and it has developed countless shortcuts to keep up with the load. One of the ways that your brain does this is the same style as an email inbox. It uses algorithms to immediately sort all the incoming messages into various folders. And similar to your email, most of these messages get sorted into folders you'll infrequently check or access. For example, one of the most popular destinations in your brain is the sensory information folder. The millions of different pieces of information like the light buzzing, the weird carpet smell, clothing on your skin, the sounds of people's voices talking at you when you're totally focused on the latest Ted Lasso episode. Those are all sensations that don't even hit your awareness inbox unless you go looking for them. It's like your email folder for ads and promotions. You only access it when you're looking for a specific coupon in the moment. In a similar way, you can make many of those sensations more conscious if the situation calls for it, but normally you just let your brain sift through and process those on the back burner. Your brain also keeps a spam folder, thank goodness, where it sends basically all thoughts, feelings, and other information that it deems unimportant and will be an unhelpful drain on your resources. Of all those million emails a minute that your brain gets, only a small portion of those make it to your primary inbox, the place designated for real mail, or messages that require your conscious awareness and attention. Let's talk about how your email service provider decides between real mail and spam, or junk mail, not the wildly popular canned meat. Well, it uses a range of cues, typically real mail that needs your attention to support your mission in life, comes from known addresses with boring or at least relatively straightforward subject line, like Intermountain Healthcare, payment due, or Dad, hey, just checking in. In comparison, what are the cues that your email uses to identify spam? If you open your spam folder, do not click on anything. But if you open it, you'll see lots of exclamation points, nonsensical but urgent subject lines, flashing bold print fonts, and warnings like last notice, open immediately, last chance. Spam is desperately trying to get your attention using urgent messaging, flashy cues. Here's the thing. You know that if you reply to that email about saving the Wakandan king's lost niece, you will get emails from that address for the rest of forever. It will rob you of time and energy and possibly financial resources. In a similar way as our email providers, our brain also uses cues to separate the messages that need our attention from the spam. And generally, our brain is pretty accurate at doing that. It lets us walk down the street without registering every piece of dirt or wind in the air, counting every cloud in the sky, or noticing slight changes in relative humidity. And it adapts over time. Our brain uses a number of neural structures and genetics to set up initial sorting, and then uses our ongoing experience and behavior to continuously adjust its algorithms. For example, if you planted a brand new, temperature and humidity sensitive exotic flower in your yard, your brain may learn that all that information about wind, dirt, clouds, and humidity are important, so it will send them to your inbox to be processed consciously, possibly even marked as important or urgent if it thinks you need to do something immediately to protect that new plant. Now, if you're someone who experiences a lot of frequent, intensive, and persistent worries or intrusive thoughts, your brain is likely run into some hiccups in its sorting algorithm. Yes, it's true that everyone has worried thoughts that break through their spam filter. In fact, almost everyone experiences scary, bizarre, intrusive thoughts or images that make it past the spam filter and hit their conscious awareness. Thoughts like, what if I die from this? What if I drive off this bridge? What if my significant other leaves me? For individuals who have relatively low anxiety in general, they likely just have fewer of these thoughts that hit their inbox in the first place. When they do hit the inbox, there are a few things that make it easier for them to say, wow, that was weird, and send it to their trash folder without reading it or giving it much thought. And as they do that, their brain updates its algorithm and becomes more effective at its filtering, so they get fewer breakthrough thoughts, and it's also easier to send them to trash. In people with higher anxiety or OCD, their genetics and temperament make the brain more inclined to send those worried and intrusive thoughts through to the inbox, often marked important. The brain that's more sensitive to anxiety tends to send thoughts with bold, flashy colors and urgent messages that should go to spam through to the inbox, just in case it's something important that we need to do something about. And then what we do with it from that point determines what the future sorting looks like. If we give that message more meaning and attention, the brain says, oh, that was important. I better keep sending those through. Often, the context around these random thoughts determines whether or not we sort them into spam or mark them as important and give them attention. In one context, if a random thought is neutral, not really attached to any specific value that I have or anything important to me, it's much easier to dismiss. In another context, a random thought may go against some deeply held values or relationships that are important to me. In this case, even though it's still just a random thought, my brain is much more likely to flag it as important and needing attention. So, for example, let's say the neutral thought, like, wow, a papaya sounds so good right now, makes it into my conscious inbox. I might think, okay, where did that come from? And then realize I can smell food or maybe I'm hungry. When I can explain how the thought got to my inbox easily, I can quickly decide whether it's something I need to act on, like go eat, or something to sort into spam, like I don't eat papaya. Or maybe the thought was totally out of the blue, just broke through the normal spam filter and my brain can't explain it. But it's also a non-threatening thought. So even if it comes through and I can't explain it, there isn't any good or bad value attached to it. That also makes it easy for me to quickly sort it into something to act on or something to ignore. However, let's imagine eating a papaya goes against my true core values. In this case, the actual words, the actual sentence, wow, a papaya sounds so good right now, doesn't change. And that thought, those words, have probably crossed a lot of people's minds. Maybe people are really into papayas. What I mean is that thought itself could cross a lot of minds. But now, in this context, this thought is really important to me and my overall values. So my brain flags it. It comes in with bright lettering and urgent messaging, demands my attention. So I give my attention to it and think, why would I even think that? In essence, I click on the link. I want more information, or I decide to reply to the message and ask, why am I getting this message? With all that value or danger attached to the thought, instead of my brain saying, well, that was weird, or that came because everyone has random thoughts, and quickly sorting it into my spam folder, I decide to figure out what this means about me, my values, my life, my existence. With sticky thoughts like these, the three words that make this random intrusive thought go from benign and normal to persistent and scary are the words, this must mean. For brains that are more anxious, more attuned to any possible threat, this need to make meaning is often what makes the thoughts get stuck, demand action, and grow over time. I think having the thought about the papaya must mean I've done something wrong, something happened. I need to fix it. I've got to get rid of this thought right away. In a similar way, if you're more prone to worry or intrusive thoughts, they're likely attached to things that are really important to you. So when they break through the spam filter, they get tagged as super important. And even if you recognize it as weird or others tell you it's not true, you still feel urgency to open the message, click the link, figure out why you're having that worry, and follow the message's instructions of how to get rid of it. So, in summary, With all the constant activity in our brain, everyone has unexpected thoughts break through the spam filter and make it into their primary inbox. Sometimes there was a specific cue or context that let it through, and other times the breakthrough thoughts are just random, sometimes unwanted and frightening. In individuals without a lot of anxiety, their brain generally recognizes those scary thoughts as out of place, responds with, "That was weird," correctly shuffles them into spam, and learns to better screen it out next time. For people with more intensive or frequent worries or intrusive thoughts, their brain sees a piece of junk mail that made it to the inbox by mistake, and even though it suspects that it's spam, it's so compelling. The colors and the writing and the warnings are just too much to ignore, often because it flies in the face of something we really care about or value. So we respond. We write back and say, "Yes, I'm listening. Tell me how I need to save the Wakandan princess." Or, "Tell me how to keep this horrible thing from happening." Or, "Tell me why I had this thought. What does it mean about me, my past, or my future?" At that point, your brain says, "Oh, that must have been important. I'm going to send more of these thoughts with that scary subject line to the inbox." And thus your brain gets more and more efficient at sending you messaging you don't actually want. Blast those remarkable learning capabilities of the human brain. But the good news is we can shape those same capabilities to shape new pathways and teach more correct sorting. Hang in there. You're not alone. I'll talk more about how to shape that and other things related to intrusive thoughts in follow-up videos, or you can check out my course on When Scary Thoughts Take Charge, linked below. And as always, if you don't already have the support of a qualified mental health professional and intrusive thoughts or worries are getting in the way of your life, take a look at the link in video below connecting you with ways to find help. If you'd like to see more videos about common worries or intrusive thoughts, or a plan to respond to these thoughts, please like and subscribe. Also, post any questions you'd like to see answered in future videos, either in the comments section here or on my website, backincharge.com.